Hey guys, this is Delphine with the CultureQuirk channel. So last week I made a video starting off a list of different variety shows which are great for Japanese learners, and today I'll be continuing that list with the second part. Again, most of these are all about Arashi, but I'll be starting off the list with the non-Arashi shows. So let's get right into it. Music shows. Unfortunately, I don't have too much information on these types of shows since I don't really watch them regularly myself. I've just seen a few episodes here and there, but they do seem pretty popular in Japan, and I think they're a lot of fun. The thing that these shows have in common are their musical guests, and Arashi is definitely a group that pops up a lot on these shows. A big one is Music Station. This is a long-running show that has various weekly segments. They present CD rankings, interviews and chat sessions, and of course, live performances by the guest artists. There are two hosts, one of which I think used to be a comedian, so there is some talking, but it stays pretty interesting. Another big show is Utaban, which is short for Utabangumi. Now, I obviously have not been keeping up well because I was doing research for this one, and I found out that apparently it was discontinued last year, and it's now replaced by something called a music hour or something. Sorry I don't have more information about that, and that I'm not sure what the difference is, but from what I can tell, the new one seems to be pretty much the same. For Utaban at least, I know that they usually had a musical guest and would talk with them about their new albums and stuff. Of course, they'd have the live performances, and they also had a few other special fun corners, such as little games and skits. These shows are awesome if you want to learn about different kinds of Japanese music or stay up to date on Japanese pop culture, so go check them out. Now I'll be heading into the Arashi shows, and the difference this time is that these shows are older and no longer being aired. However, some of them I actually prefer to some of the new shows, so they're definitely still worth a watch. C, D, and G no Arashi. So this actually refers to three different shows that are sort of made in a similar way, and I've only seen D no Arashi and G no Arashi at this point. In this show, Arashi goes on crazy random adventures, meets quirky people, or do funny but useless experiments. What's great about these shows is the variety of topics that they cover, so the show never gets repetitive or boring. The C in C no Arashi stands for claim, and the boys in this one have to deal with all sorts of customer complaints for various companies. The D in D no Arashi stands for documentary, and so they do these sort of documentary type things on various, usually very random topics, such as more serious things like plastic surgery, or how to build a boat out of things like straw or leaves or Legos, or how to make a video by filming yourself backwards, which, by the way, that was some of the funniest stuff I've ever seen from them. The G in G no Arashi stands for Gambare, so the group sort of supports all of these different people. Anything from helping people who are tone deaf, to teaching people how to swim, to teaching Sho how to draw. Other segments pop up through the episodes, such as Ei no Arashi, which is led by Aiba, doing all sorts of silly, stupid experiments, or Ni no Arashi, where Nino pulls pranks on people. It's kind of hard to explain the mechanics of this show, but I think that they're funny, interesting, and even sometimes a little educational. This could be a good way to sort of get to know Arashi, as you can really see a lot of their personalities, and they interact together a lot in these episodes. On to the next show. Mago Mago Arashi. This show is simply adorable. The general premise is that a couple of Arashi members at a time go to visit these elderly couples and sort of become their grandkids for a day, hence the Mago Mago, since Mago means grandchild. They help with chores, cooking, or just chatting it up with the Ji-chan and Ba-chan, who are usually really happy about this since they don't have grandchildren of their own or they rarely see them. It's an incredibly sweet concept, and I've literally teared up at a couple of the episodes. Later on, they do a couple of different corners, such as taking care of kids and cooking them dinner while their parents are away, or running around Tokyo on a sort of treasure hunt with nothing but an old map from the Edo period. The kids section is adorable as well, and while the show can get a little bit repetitive, since there's a similar premise in a lot of the episodes, it never gets boring because every family that they visit is different. This is one of my favorite shows ever. It's really nice to see this kind of warm-hearted, sort of family-friendly type of show, especially when you see the kind of things that are appearing in reality TV these days. Okay, let's move on. Arashi no Shukudai-kun. This show actually only stopped airing pretty recently. It's pretty similar to some of the new stuff that they do, except for this one had a lot less of a budget, which sort of added its own charm. The show features different guests in almost every episode, musicians, actors, comedians, and so on. They do a lot of talking with the guests, and then they usually do a few entertaining activities. In most of the episodes, the guests have a strange favorite food or something that they'd like to try and eat, and so a lot of weird dishes are brought out, and the reactions are usually pretty funny when they eat it. They also play lots of silly games that usually have sort of something to do with the hobbies or interests of the guest. The structure is very repetitive. They always have that same set with the guest. They always ask the guest very similar questions. They do the food thing. But I don't really mind the repetitiveness on this one, as it just gets really familiar, and I'm excited for whatever segment is popping up, and I guess I just never get bored watching Arashi. So those are all the variety shows that I've seen. I do know there are a couple of other Arashi shows out there, such as Mayonaka no Arashi, which is their oldest show, or Golden Rush Arashi, which didn't have too many episodes, but the ones that I've talked about are sort of the major ones out there. What I like a lot about these older shows, especially when it comes to CD and Gino Arashi and Mago Mago, is that Arashi actually goes out into the world and talks with normal, everyday people, which is really different from what they do nowadays when they're always in some kind of studio with other celebrities. Each style sort of has their own charm, and I do like keeping up with the current shows, but I do also love watching these older shows, and they sort of become nostalgic to me. So there you have it. Those are just a few ideas of variety shows that are great for Japanese immersion. Have fun with it, and you'll be surprised with how much you learn. Variety shows have had a huge influence in teaching me Japanese. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.